Lauren Miller. There are currently 2.2 million people in U.S. prisons. 1.4 million of these people are nonviolent drug offenders. This is more than the entire population of the state of New Mexico. Everyone in this room has seen the effects drugs can have on a person when the prisoners came to our health class sophomore year. The U.S. Department of Justice should put nonviolent criminals into a rehabilitation facility instead of prison. First, I will talk about the problem with overcrowding in U.S. prisons, and second, I will talk about how rehabilitation would be a beneficial solution to this problem. First, I will talk about the problem with overcrowding in U.S. prisons. According to Dr. Chris Henning, a professor of criminology and criminal justice at Portland State University, a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Vermont, states in the article, "The Problem with Overcrowding in Prisons in the U.S., published September 2015. Prison overcrowding is caused by a variety of issues, such as not enough room in prisons and fluctuating crime rates. One major way of overcrowding in U.S. prisons is double celling. Inmates are required by law to have a certain amount of space. Two people should not be forced into a confined space that is meant for one person. More than half of today's prison population is made up of nonviolent criminals. Most of these criminals have committed nonviolent petty crimes and are in need of treatment and help treating their addiction. According to Jennifer Truman, a statistician at the Office of Justice Programs in Washington, D.C., and coordinator of the Justice Research and Statistics Association, states in the article, "Diversion versus Incarceration," published August 2015, that the effects of drug rehabilitation versus jail time had many positive outcomes. 25% of America is currently 25% of the world's prison population. This problem affects millions of Americans. Not only does it affect millions of Americans, but it is very harmful to the U.S. economy. The United States spends over $10 billion every year on funding for nonviolent criminals. We are currently $2 trillion in debt. They could be using this money to spend on building things like schools and hospitals. According to Sheila Dorn, Doctor of Philosophy at the University of Albany, with a concentration in examining law enforcement analysis and intelligent capabilities, states in the article, "The Prison Crisis," written January 2016, that currently 75% of those that did not receive drug rehab were rearrested after their sentence. According to Angela Thilo, PhD in criminal justice and professor at the University of Cincinnati, master's degree in sociology from Ohio State University, states in the article, "Prison Policy Initiative," published January 2014, that there are currently 2.7 million children in the U.S. that have a parent behind bars. The average annual cost to incarcerate one of these parents is $29,000. This is a huge problem in today's society. Now that I've talked about the problem with overcrowding in U.S. prisons, I will talk about how rehabilitation would be a beneficial solution to this problem. Treatment from a rehabilitation facility can help nonviolent drug offenders in many ways. There are many alternative sentencing programs available for these criminals. According to John H. Stone, a professor in the Department of Rehabilitation of Science and the University of Buffalo, nationally recognized in his study for the Department of Rehabilitation of Medicine at the University of Washington, states in the article, "Alternative Sentencing Programs," published 2015, says that alternative sentencing acknowledges the fact that drugs can turn the best of us into criminals. For many offenders, this is the first real opportunity at medically supervised rehabilitation. Prison punishment should not be the answer to substance abuse. Without treatment, many of these offenders end up at the exact same position they were when they first got arrested. Alternative sentencing programs set the tone for today's diversion programs by giving the courts the option to offer nonviolent drug offenders a chance at rehabilitation. In conclusion, the United States Department of Justice should allow nonviolent drug offenders a chance at rehabilitation instead of putting them in prison. 95% of those 1.4 million people at the end of this speech will have relapsed because they did not receive the proper care that they needed because of our United States justice system. With my solution, we can get them the help they desperately need.